Hey everyone, it's Dee from CatalystEnergies. Thanks for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is your daily catalyst for December 3rd, 2019. And I'm putting this out a little early, the night before actually, because there is some very potent feminine energy with the moon moving into Pisces that I think it's worth taking a look at before you go to bed tonight, because I feel as if there could be some really good insights that come to us through our dream state with this moon in Pisces. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to share the chart for tomorrow. Maybe. There we go. All right. So this chart, once it comes back, okay, this chart is for noon East Coast time, so 9 a.m. On the West Coast and 5 p.m. UK time. So, but we're going to talk about what's happening the night before, just to get an idea of the flavor of the day. So at about midnight Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have Mercury in Scorpio having a sextile or a 60-degree angle with Pluto in Capricorn. So Mercury is still technically in shadow. It has not returned to the point at which it went retrograde in Scorpio on Halloween. And so we are still going over areas that we had gone over during the retrograde. And so now that Mercury is direct, we're able to maybe have a little bit more clarity and forward thinking about the things that we may have learned about this depth and the inner world in Scorpio throughout the retrograde in November. The sextile to Pluto in Capricorn is at a degree point that I really want to just give a little bit of attention to, because as you know, Pluto moves very slowly. So it stays in a certain degree for a very long time. And so the energy is something that we have a lot of opportunity to sit with and reflect upon and potentially really integrate into our lives. It's also very powerful because Pluto is the lord of the underworld, and he or she, and I'm going to refer to Pluto as she right now because there's so much feminine energy for today's chart that I'm really feeling the Kali energy coming in with this particular Pluto today. And there's a lot of power involved in the death aspect of Pluto because it's really about transformation. And so Pluto often will have to do as well with psychology and understanding the unconscious and the subconscious, the shadow, those kinds of things. And is also the ruler of Scorpio as well, which is where Mercury is. So this seems extra potent to have this sextile here. So the Sabian symbol for this degree in Capricorn is a general accepting defeat gracefully. And I've been really reflecting on this for a while because Pluto has been here for a while. And the basic idea is that as a leader, either of yourself or a group of people that you're responsible for, a tactical leader, a general is a military leader, there is this idea that sometimes you have more to gain by accepting defeat in a situation than you do with struggling to succeed and potentially use up all of your resources. We have so much more to gain and so much more growth to take advantage of through our failures and our defeats. And I feel like that for many of us, we may be feeling defeated right now. We may have been feeling defeated right now. We may have been feeling like we've been bested, that the things that were, especially in Capricorn, because it's about the external structures and the institutions and the things we're trying to build in the real world, we might have felt that they are not working, or that we're feeling like a failure, or that we feel defeated. And I think that that's really going around and has been for a while. The thing about this degree of Capricorn, and then especially with Pluto here, is that there's a real opportunity to transform ourselves through this energy. Like, we have an opportunity to learn from our failures, to accept the defeat, because there's so much more to gain from changing our trajectory or learning from our mistakes. And with Pluto here, this has to do with a very deep aspect of ourselves. And with Mercury going through Scorpio and making this aspect here, we really stand to gain some clarity about where this transformation can really happen in our lives. And so this happening is about, like I said, about midnight on the East Coast. And so, you know, this is about the time we're going to go to sleep. This energy is going to perfect. And then right after that, just a few hours later, we're going to have the moon come into Pisces, and she loves to be in Pisces. The moon is the priestess, and the priestess is the incarnation in some ways of the energy, the feminine aspect of Source. It is the yin energy of Source, and Pisces is the ocean, which is also the yin energy of Source. It is undifferentiated, it is boundaryless, it is dark in some ways and vast and dissolves everything. And so in the tarot, the moon card is represented by Pisces, whereas the high priestess in the tarot is represented by the moon. So you can kind of see how all of these figures connect in terms of being the representation of the divine feminine. The moon is the piece of Source, the feminine yin energy piece of Source within us. It is our personal connection to it, which is why it's represented by the high priestess, because the priestess character is that incarnation of the yin feminine energy. So with the moon coming into Pisces while we're sleeping tonight, or just before we wake up if you're in the UK, there is a huge potential for our dream state to be very deep but insightful. There's going to be potentially a lot of messages, a lot of feelings involved. I know that sometimes that when I dream, the symbolism is meant to evoke certain feelings that need to come to the surface. And based on this Mercury and the sextile to Pluto around this energy of accepting defeat gracefully, I feel like the moon is really going to give us an opportunity in Pisces to tap into the collective unconscious as well as our own unconscious when it comes to where in our life we need to let go of some things in order to move forward. The moon's going to then make sextiles to Jupiter, to Uranus. It's going to trine the North Node in Cancer. It's going to trine Mars in Scorpio, and finally is going to sextile, come back around and sextile Venus in Capricorn. All of these energies are feminine aspects in some way, either Jupiter in an earth sign, Uranus in an earth sign, even though the planets themselves are much more masculine. You have the fire of Jupiter and you have the air of Uranus, but the North Node in Cancer, water sign, Mars, you know, a very masculine sign, but in Scorpio. Sextiles are points of balance and harmony, but they need participation in order to get the full energy out of them. And so whatever these points are in your chart, the moon is going to open up in some ways all of these points into a much deeper intuitive insight. It's going to be deep and it's going to be vast and it's going to be symbols. The world of archetypes is how our subconscious really communicates to us. These are symbols that really have no inherent meaning until we overlay meaning on them from our conscious awareness. And so there's a lot of potential here to activate all of these points through the moon's gift of connecting us back to the source within us. I just think it's so beautiful. There will be some challenging aspects, some minor challenging aspects between the moon and Saturn and the moon and Pluto in Capricorn as well. But as she moves through the sign of Pisces throughout the day and into the 4th, connecting with Neptune, those challenging aspects are also going to become sextiles that can be activated to get the most out of where these energies are manifesting in your own personal chart. We also have Venus that's going to be sextiling Mars and Scorpio, and also, and then the moon was going to sextile Venus. Venus and Scorpio, Venus and Mars, you know, are the yin. They're also their yin and yang aspects of each other. You know, they're cosmic lovers, cosmic companions, and having Venus in Capricorn having to do with our relationships, our material resources, our material lives, our bodies, what feels good, what looks good to us, what appeases our senses, really having this harmonious aspect with Mars and Scorpio that's really wanting to, has been really getting to the root of some things and taking his energy and initiative and drive in order to do that. And so this really can give us some insight into how these structures, especially coming off of the South Node and still having an opposition to the North Node, giving us an idea of how to build the structures that, you know, that feel good to us, that are create safety and boundaries, but also understanding the power inherent in those things, because that's what Scorpio is all about, is the power dynamics as a result of relationship with people. And so this can really be balanced out here. There's just so much feminine energy in this chart today. And so if you're willing to tap into your intuition, if you're willing to align with the divine feminine, if you're willing to look at your dreams and see the symbols and the archetypes and tap into the feelings that they're bringing out and where your intuition is leading you, I think that there can be some real deep understandings about how to move forward through the month. That's all I have for now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next video.